Night came with rain. Slow droplets first, then a steady whispering curtain that turned the city lights into soft halos. The penthouse glowed warm against the storm, its tall windows reflecting the room inside like a second world layered over the real one. Scarlett sat at the long dining table, the same place where she had eaten quietly for weeks, thinking, rebuilding, remembering how to breathe. But tonight, the table was no longer just a place to sit. It was a war room. Caleb stood at the head of the table, one hand braced against the polished wood, posture relaxed yet focused. Daniel sat opposite Scarlett, elbows on the table, eyes sharp and unblinking. Boris remained near the wall, silent, observant, absorbing everything without needing to speak. Scarlett laid both hands flat on the table. "Tell me everything." Daniel nodded, leaning back. "Luca didn't just ruin your career to punish you," he began. "He did it because you were the only threat he couldn't control." Scarlett didn't flinch. "There were plenty of dancers," she said quietly. "He could have replaced me in a second." "Yes," Daniel said, "but there weren't plenty of you. You weren't just talented. You were influential. People followed your lead. Your presence changed the room. And Luca—" He paused. "Luca hates anything he can't own." Scarlett's jaw tightened. Not with hurt, not anymore. With clarity. Caleb spoke next. "He expected you to return, to break, to come back to him for permission to stand again." His voice was steady, measured, a strategist who had seen too many battles. "You didn't. That is why he's moving now." Scarlett looked between them. "What has he done?" Daniel slid a folder across the table. Scarlett opened it. "Contracts, partnerships, studio funding lines, sponsorship agreements tied to studios across the city. Small details, but each a thread leading back to her name. He's pressuring investors," Daniel said. "He's warning them away from anything you touch." Scarlett didn't speak. Her fingers were still. Her eyes were calm. Caleb watched her. "What does this make you feel?" he asked quietly. Scarlett looked up, and for the first time since she had left the Barnes estate as a young woman whose heart had been broken, she smiled. Not softly, not politely, but like someone who had finally seen the board beneath the game. "It means he's scared," she said simply. Daniel grinned, quick and small. Caleb's eyes flickered, not pride, but respect. Scarlett closed the folder. "Then we don't hide, and we don't defend. We move first." Caleb nodded once. "Agreed." Daniel leaned forward. "You have two choices." He raised one finger. "One, you start your own studio. Independent. No sponsors. No boards. Your rules." Scarlett held his gaze. "And two," she asked. Daniel raised a second finger. "You buy one that already exists." Silence stretched. Caleb folded his arms. "Which studio?" he asked. Daniel didn't answer. He smiled. Scarlett felt the answer before he spoke it. "The one Luca uses for his private rehearsals," Daniel said. "The one where he trains his protégés. The one where his prestige is rooted." Scarlett leaned back in her chair, heart steady. "You want me to take his sanctuary." Caleb answered instead. "Not want," he said. "Need." Scarlett thought of the polished floors, the mirrored walls, the place where she had once danced until she collapsed, the place where she learned to be extraordinary, the place where she learned to break quietly, the place where a piece of her life had ended. Taking it back wouldn't just be business. It would be reclamation. Scarlett looked at Caleb. "Can we afford it?" she asked. He didn't blink. "I can." Scarlett's breath paused. She didn't ask why. She didn't ask on what condition. She didn't ask what he wanted in return. She knew. He was not a man who invested in things he intended to own. He was a man who invested in things he intended to build with. Scarlett turned to Daniel. "How long do we have before Luca realizes we're moving?" Daniel shrugged. "He already knows. He's watching you." Scarlett exhaled slowly. "Then we go publicly." Caleb tilted his head. "Define publicly." Scarlett stood. She walked to the window, watching raindrops chase each other down the glass. "The charity gala," she said. Caleb's gaze sharpened. Daniel smirked. Boris nodded once. Scarlett placed her hand against the window. Steady calm. If Luca wants a stage, she continued, then I will walk onto it. She turned. And I won't walk alone. Caleb held her eyes. Not claiming. Not declaring. Not stating intention. Just silently standing beside her. The warmth between them didn't flare. It deepened. Daniel leaned back, exhaling. Then it settled. Thunder rolled across the city. Scarlett didn't flinch. Her voice was quiet, but every syllable carried iron. We take the studio. We take the narrative. And we take back my name. Caleb stepped forward. Scarlett, he said, not as a question, not as reassurance, just her name, held with steady certainty. She met his gaze. The storm outside broke into heavier rain. Inside, the war began. The week moved like a tide, slow, steady, unstoppable. Every day brought preparations. Conversations whispered behind closed doors. Silent looks exchanged across conference tables. Phone calls taken in hallways where voices had to be low, but sure. Scarlett trained again. Not dance training for stage lights or applause. Not for beauty. Not for performance. She trained to reclaim muscle memory that had once been stolen from her, half by exhaustion, half by heartbreak. Early each morning, she stepped into a private studio attached to the penthouse. Bare floors, mirrored walls, no audience. Only herself, only breath, only movement. She began with the simplest of routines, warm-ups, stretches, slow turns like water moving around her. You could tell her body had once been sculpted for this. Each motion carried a fluency no teacher could create. But there were moments, small, sharp moments, where hesitation broke through. A pause, a flicker, a shadow passing across her eyes. Caleb watched from a distance, not training her, not instructing, only present. His silence did not suffocate. It steadied. If Scarlett fell, he did not reach for her. If she hesitated, he did not speak. He simply stood, allowing her to reclaim herself without help, because help is not the same as healing. Daniel spent those mornings on the balcony, coffee in hand, eyes always scanning the city like he expected something to appear out of clouds. He had changed since the years he'd disappeared. The softness of childhood was gone. In its place was something sharpened, something weathered, something that had learned how to survive without applause or comfort. But when Scarlett finished her final turn every morning, Daniel would be waiting with a towel in one hand and a look that spoke more clearly than any words. You're not doing this alone. 3 days before the gala, the invitations arrived. Gold-trimmed envelopes delivered quietly by courier. No signature, no name, no flourish, because power does not need to announce itself. Caleb placed the envelope on the table and stepped back so Scarlett could open it herself. She slid her finger beneath the seal, unfolded it, read it, then looked up. He wants us there, she said. Caleb nodded. He wants to see what you become. Scarlett's lips curved. Not a smile. Exactly. More realization. He wants witnesses. She said, yes. Daniel replied, stepping into the room. And so do we. Scarlett folded the invitation again. This is not just a room full of wealthy donors, Daniel continued. It's the board of every major arts organization in the region. It's the families who influence reputation, gallery entries, performance slots, investor backing. Show up, and you're not just in the room. Caleb finished the sentence for him. You command the room. Scarlett exhaled slowly. She knew what this night would be. Not a reunion. Not an apology. Not a confrontation. A declaration. She would not hide behind anyone. Not Caleb. Not Daniel. Not past fragility. She would walk in as herself. And they would see her. The day of the gala. The city was washed clean by a late afternoon storm. The sky still holding mist against its edges, as though uncertain whether to clear or cry again. The penthouse was quiet, intentionally so. Scarlett stood before the long mirror in the bedroom. The gown was a deep black satin, cut along the back in a low, fluid arc. It did not sparkle. It did not shout. It did not demand attention. It held attention. It was elegance, sharpened. Her hair was gathered aside in loose waves, revealing the line of her neck. Not girlish, not soft, a woman's silhouette. Daniel leaned against the doorway, watching. "You look like someone who never lost anything," he said. Scarlett met his eyes in the mirror. "I did lose," she said. "I just stopped staying lost." Daniel smiled, small, proud, unspoken. Caleb appeared behind her reflection. He wore a tailored black suit, no tie, the top button undone, sleeves pressed but not rigid. Authority without the need to display it. He didn't stare. He didn't evaluate. He saw her. "You're ready," he said. Scarlett nodded once. Yes, she was. The gala, the Grand Meridian Ballroom, was made for spectacle. Crystal chandeliers like captured galaxies hung overhead, and the floors reflected them like a sky turned inside out. The room smelled of rich perfume, aged wine, and polished marble. Conversations swirled like ribbon. Laughter chimed with hidden edges. Eyes flicked like knives. And doors opened. Scarlett stepped inside with Caleb beside her, Daniel just behind. The room didn't stop. It slowed. People didn't stare openly, no. That would break the illusion of refinement. They looked in glances, covert, angled, filtered through lashes and champagne glass reflections. Scarlett walked with steady steps. No rush, no hesitation. She did not cling to Caleb's arm. He did not reach for hers. They walked side by side, not together, aligned. At the center of the ballroom, Lucas stood near a marble staircase, surrounded by donors and admirers. He looked as golden as he always had, polished, smiling, the charming prince whose cruelty hid behind velvet edges. His eyes lifted across the room. They found her. The smile he wore didn't change, but his breath did. Scarlett saw it, the smallest shift in his chest. She walked toward him, not to greet him, not to acknowledge him, simply because the path to the center of the room passed him. Yet he moved first. He stepped into her path. "Scarlett," Lucas said softly, warmly, like saying her name was a private language. Scarlett stopped. Caleb stopped beside her. Daniel stood behind her. Lucas' gaze flicked to Caleb, to Daniel, back to Scarlett. He smiled. "A dramatic entrance," he murmured. "You always did love a stage." Scarlett didn't smile. "You gave me one," she said. "I just learned how to use it." A quiet ripple passed through the watching crowd. Not gasps, not shock, just attention sharpening, like knives being honed. Lucas stepped closer by 1 inch. "Last time you were here, you were in tears," he said. Scarlett didn't blink. "And last time you were here, you thought I would come back." Lucas' smile froze, not broken, just still. Caleb's presence beside her felt like gravity. Daniel's presence behind her felt like guardrails. Scarlett needed neither. She took one step forward, not toward Luca, but past him. And Luca had to turn to keep looking at her, which meant the room saw him follow her, not the other way around. A shift, small, enormous. The music swelled. Voices whispered. Attention bent. Luca composed himself, though his jaw tightened by the smallest fraction. "You think this is over?" he asked. Scarlett finally smiled. "No," she said softly. "I think it's beginning." And before he could speak again, before he could shape the room back around his narrative, the doors to the ballroom opened once more. A courier entered. He approached Scarlett directly. Silence spread like slow wildfire. He handed her an envelope. She opened it. A contract for ownership of his studio. Signed, stamped, approved, and delivered at the exact moment the world was watching. Because Caleb wasn't only a strategist. He was timing. He was execution. He was a hand that made her move impossible to ignore. Scarlett folded the paper. She didn't look at Luca when she spoke. "I don't need your stage," she said. "I own mine." Luca didn't move. Couldn't. Scarlett turned. Caleb followed. Daniel followed. The room watched. Not her dress. Not her beauty. Not her past. Her power. Scarlett did not need applause. Silence was enough. Because silence meant every person in that room was now choosing who to align with. And they would align with the one who did not break. Morning arrived gray and quiet, the kind of morning where the city seemed to exhale after a long night of watching, whispering, choosing sides. Scarlett stood outside the building. Not a skyscraper, not a tower, not a monument to wealth. A studio, 3 floors, clear windows, wooden floors. A name once painted in ornate white across the glass. James' Performance House. The paint was faded now, weathered, but recognizable. Once, Scarlett had walked through these doors as a girl who believed pain was the price of brilliance. A girl who had danced until her bones begged for rest. Today, she did not walk in as a girl. Caleb stood beside her, hands in his pockets, not touching her, not guiding her. Just there, Daniel leaned against the hood of the car, arms crossed, eyes scanning the street, like someone who had never stopped being protective. Boris had already gone inside an hour earlier, checking the building, securing the office, making sure no remnants of Luca's reach remained. Scarlett inhaled. The studio smelled the same the moment she stepped inside. Sweat, dust, rosin, music etched into the walls like memory. Her footsteps echoed. The mirrors along the largest rehearsal room reflected her, as she had always avoided seeing herself. Not the dancer she was. Not the woman she became. Something in between. Caleb spoke softly behind her. You don't have to face it alone. Scarlett shook her head, not in refusal, but in clarity. I know, but some battles must be fought by yourself, so that when the world sees you stand, it knows it is you standing. She walked across the floor, each step recalling steps from years ago. Turn, leap, fall, rise. Again, again, again. Her palms brushed the bar. The wood had been replaced once, but the groove still existed, small indentations left by hands that clung to it like it was the only thing keeping them upright. Her hands once did that. Her heart once did that too. Daniel entered the room quietly. You could rename it, he suggested. Scarlett watched her reflection in the mirror. No, she said. I'm not erasing this place. I'm claiming it. The difference mattered. She walked to the light switch on the far wall, paused, pressed play on the old stereo instead. Music filled the studio. Not dramatic, not classical, not something meant to impress. A simple piano melody, gentle, steady, sincere. Scarlett stepped into the center of the room. Her posture shifted. Her shoulders drew back. Her chest lifted. Her feet aligned. And she danced, not to perform, not to prove, not to reclaim, to remember. Her body moved with muscle memory she thought she had lost, but it had only been sleeping, waiting for her to return. A turn, a glide, a leap, sharp, clean, controlled. Her breath matched the melody. Her heart matched her breath. Time folded around her, did not drag her back, did not trap her in memory, only allowed her to hold every version of herself at once. The girl who was silenced, the woman who survived, the one dancing now, who was neither broken nor untouchable. Caleb watched from the doorway. His expression did not soften in awe. It did not sharpen in hunger. He watched her as someone witnessing truth unfold, not to admire it, but to recognize it. When the last note faded, Scarlett held her final pose, chest rising and falling. She did not cry. She did not collapse. She breathed, and it was enough. Daniel clapped, once. Caleb did not clap. He stepped closer, not to touch her, but to speak where only she would hear. You weren't made to be owned. Scarlett's eyes lifted to meet his. No, she said, but I had to believe I could belong somewhere. Caleb paused. Then, quietly, you do. Scarlett did not answer, not because she doubted, but because the moment did not need words. Boris appeared in the doorway, clearing his throat carefully, as if he knew he was interrupting something delicate. There's someone here, he said, want to speak to Scarlett. Scarlett's expression didn't change. Caleb stepped forward. Who? Boris hesitated. Her. The room stilled. Scarlett's heart did not race, did not stutter, did not flinch. She nodded once. Let her in. Footsteps echoed down the hall, and her mother walked into the studio. Cindy Barnes. Older now, tired now, but still carrying beauty the way some women carry memory, quietly, as if it weighs. She paused at the doorway, seeing Scarlett, not as a child, not as a daughter who left, but as the woman she had become. Scarlett did not move. She didn't rush forward. She didn't withdraw. Cindy approached slowly, her eyes glimmering with something fragile. "I heard what happened at the gala," she said softly. Scarlett's voice did not shake. "So did everyone." Cindy's breath trembled, not uncontrolled, just human. "You looked," she faltered. "You looked like someone I didn't know. Someone I—" She stopped. Scarlett waited. Cindy's voice was almost a whisper. "Someone I wish I had been brave enough to be." The silence that followed wasn't painful. It was real. Cindy blinked, tears threatening but not falling. "I didn't protect you," she said. "I should have. I didn't. I know that. I can't undo it." Scarlett's eyes softened, not forgiving, not erasing, just listening. Cindy continued, voice low, "But I would like to know you now. If you let me—" The rain outside slowed. Light broke through the clouds. Scarlett didn't step into her mother's arms. She didn't turn away. She simply spoke the truth. "We will start slowly." Cindy exhaled, shaken, relieved, grateful. "That is enough," she whispered. Scarlett nodded. "Yes, for now." Daniel stepped forward, protective but not possessive. Caleb stayed still, watching, present without imposing. Scarlett looked around her studio. Her space. Her story. Her life. Once taken. Now returned. Not by force. By choice. "We have work to do," Scarlett said. And they did. Not revenge. Not retribution. Rebuilding. And this time, she would not do it alone. Night fell softly over the city, laying a curtain of silver haze across the streets. In the studio, the final echo of Caleb's footsteps faded as he walked Scarlett and Daniel to the car. They left together, with quiet words, shared glances, and the unmistakable feeling that a new path had opened. But Boris did not leave. He stayed. Upstairs in the dim second-floor office, a single lamp glowed. The door was cracked open just enough of the hallway light to spill across the wooden floor. The office smelled faintly of old coffee and dust, signs of the place untouched for months. He sat behind the desk, arms folded, listening, waiting. He wasn't alone. At first, there was only silence. Then, the faintest sound, a breath, the whisper of fabric, a shift of weight. Someone was in the shadows. Boris didn't reach for the gun in his jacket. He didn't need to. He already knew who it was. "You've been watching her," Boris said quietly. A woman stepped out of the corner. Tall, dark suit, sharp eyes. She had the presence of someone who did not enter rooms. She appeared in them. "Scarlett Barnes," she said, her tone neutral. "A name that has resurfaced in very interesting places." Boris did not speak. He didn't trust her. He had worked for men like her before. Governments, private syndicates, organizations that exist in the gray between law and power. The woman continued. "There are people who want to see her rise, and people who want to see her disappear." Boris finally stood, slow and steady. "And you," he asked. "Which one are you?" Her lips curved, not a smile, something colder. "I don't choose sides," she said. "I observe outcomes." She placed a folder on the desk. Not sealed, not locked, simply waiting. Boris did not open it. "I've seen this play before," he said. Someone offers information, a warning, a test, then they pretend neutrality while steering the board. The woman's eyes glimmered. "You are not wrong." She stepped closer, stopping just at the edge of the desk. "She is becoming a symbol," the woman said. "Symbols are powerful and dangerous." Boris's jaw tightened. "She is not a symbol," he said. "She is a person." The woman's expression did not change. "That is precisely why the world will try to break her again." Boris opened the folder. Photographs. Not of Scarlett. Not of Caleb. Not of Daniel. Of Luca. The images were recent. Too recent. Luca in a private airport. Luca boarding a jet. Luca alive. Boris's breath stilled, not with fear, with readiness. The woman spoke softly. He survived the fall. He is gathering resources. He has allies still, powerful ones. Boris closed the folder. I'll handle him. The woman tilted her head, almost curious. Alone. Boris did not blink. Yes. She considered him, a man forged from loyalty, guilt, and discipline. A man who had once been someone else entirely. Men like you don't fight alone, she said quietly. Not unless they believe they deserve to. Boris said nothing. The truth had always been a blade he carried inside his ribs. The woman walked toward the door. Caleb will protect her from the outside, she said. Daniel will protect her from the world. She paused. But you, Boris, her voice lowered. You are the one who will protect her from herself. She opened the door and stepped into the hallway. Remember that, before the storm begins. Then she was gone. No footsteps. No lingering presence. Only absence. Boris looked at the folder again, not with fear, with calculation. Then he closed it, locked it away, and turned off the light. Elsewhere, the private jet descended through clouds tinted gold from the city below. Inside, Lucas sat with a bandage across his temple, a thin scar tracing his cheek like a signature he never asked for. His eyes were calm. Too calm. In front of him was a single photograph of Scarlett, taken at the studio window earlier that afternoon. His fingers trace her outline with unsettling gentleness. She thinks she has won, he murmured. The man sitting across from him, broad shoulders, quiet, a face hardened from years of following orders, did not answer. Lucas smiled slowly. She has no idea what she has become. His voice warmed, low and intimate, and no idea who is coming. The jet wheels touched ground. The storm had not begun, but the air was already changing. Meanwhile, Scarlett sat in Caleb's car, her head resting lightly against the window. The city lights blurred into soft streaks of color. Caleb watched her, not as possession, not as protector, but as witness. She exhaled, not because she was tired, because she was ready. What happens now? Daniel asked quietly from the back seat. Scarlett opened her eyes. Her reflection in the glass was not the girl she once was. We build, she said. Her voice was steady. And when the past comes for us, she lifted her head. We will not run. Caleb's hand rested beside hers, not touching, just promise. Daniel nodded once. The road stretched ahead. The night held its breath. And somewhere in the distance, thunder formed. Morning arrived quiet and pale. The sky washed in early gold. The city was still waking when Scarlett stepped out onto the balcony of the penthouse. She stood wrapped in a soft robe, the breeze lifting strands of her hair. Below, the hum of life was distant, cars, voices, movement, but here it felt suspended. Caleb stepped out behind her. He didn't speak at first. He simply stood beside her, hands resting against the railing, letting the morning settle around them. You didn't sleep, he said finally. Scarlett didn't deny it. No, she answered softly. He turned his head, studying her profile. The quiet fire in her eyes, the stillness in her jaw, the part of her that had once been forced to fold itself into smallness. She was unfolding now. What are you thinking about? Caleb asked. Scarlett breathed in. The gala, she said. The moment Lucas sees me walk in. The moment everyone realizes I didn't disappear like they said I did. Caleb nodded. It will be the beginning of everything, he said. Scarlett turned to him. And the beginning of war. He didn't look away. I've been through wars, he replied. This one is no different. Scarlett's gaze softened. Yes, she said. It is. Because this time there were hearts involved. Caleb didn't argue. Later that morning, Daniel sat in the studio office. Paper spread around him, coffee cooling untouched. He was on the phone, voice clipped, firm, controlled. Yes, he said, tapping a pen against the desk. We want the acquisition terms finalized by the end of the week. No leaks, no press, no whispers. A pause. If anyone asks who's buying, tell them it's an independent foundation. He hung up and exhaled slowly. The studio, the one that had once belonged to Luca, was nearly theirs. But timing was everything. Daniel turned as Scarlett walked in. She had changed, sleek black trousers, fitted blouse, attention sharp and clear. "How did you sleep?" Daniel asked. Scarlett gave him a look. He smirked. "Right. So, listen." He slid a document across the desk. "The charity gala is in 5 days. Invitations go out today. You'll receive one publicly." Scarlett scanned the page. Her name wasn't listed as a guest. It was listed as featured honoree Scarlett Barnes for her contributions to the performing arts and for her influence as a cultural figure. Scarlett stilled. "They think I'm making a comeback for sympathy," she said. Daniel leaned back. "Let them think whatever makes them comfortable. Our advantage grows when we are underestimated." Scarlett lifted her eyes. "And Luca?" Daniel tapped his finger once on the table. "He will attend. He will smile. He will pretend loss never touched him." Scarlett's voice dropped. "And he will see that he is no longer the son in the room." Daniel smiled. "There she is." That afternoon, while Scarlett rehearsed alone in the main hall, Boris stood by the doorway, silent, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Scarlett finished the sequence, breath rising and falling steadily. She saw him watching. "You can come in," she said. Boris stepped forward. He didn't comment on her technique. He never did. He didn't compliment. He didn't encourage. He did something rarer. He witnessed. "You're dancing differently," he said. Scarlett nodded. "I'm not dancing to be chosen anymore." Boris nodded once. "Good." She wiped her forehead with a towel, studying him. "There's something you haven't told me." He didn't react, yet that stillness was reaction. Scarlett walked closer, not pressing, simply present. "I know you protect me," she said, "but protection without truth is just another cage." Boris looked at her then. Really looked, not at the dancer, not at the girl who had survived, but at the woman who had rebuilt. "You are strong now," he said quietly. "Strong enough to know." Scarlett waited. "Luca is alive," he said. The words did not break her. They did not shock her. They landed, like a puzzle piece fitting into place. Scarlett's breath came slow and grounded. "Then let him come," she said. Boris studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded. "As you wish." The night of the gala. 5 days passed like a hell breath. The ballroom shimmered with golden lights, marble floors reflecting crystal chandeliers. Powerful people circulated. Investors, politicians, art patrons, critics. Cameras flashed like small stars. At the entrance, a hush fell. Scarlett walked in. A floor-length black gown flowed around her like water poured from obsidian glass. Sleek, elegant, unbroken by excess. Her hair was pinned in a soft knot, neck bare, presence luminous. She did not smile. She did not need to. Caleb walked beside her. Suit crisp, posture effortless power. Daniel followed slightly behind, expression sharp, calculating. Boris remained unseen, but nearby. The room changed simply because they entered it. Whispers rose like wind. "She's back. Is that her? I thought she left the country." "Caleb Thorne? With her?" Scarlett did not look left or right. She moved like someone who had returned to her rightful place. Then, at the far end of the ballroom, a man turned. Luca, his scar caught the chandelier light like a blade. His expression was still, unreadable. Their eyes locked. The room softened, blurred away, sound thinning until world held only them. Not lovers, not enemies. 2 storms meeting again. Luca lifted a glass in a silent greeting. Scarlett lifted nothing. She simply held his gaze. Unshaken, unbroken, alive. He smiled, slow, deliberate, chillingly familiar. But this time, Scarlett did not flinch, because she no longer belonged to his past. She belonged to her future. And tonight, everyone would see it. The first strike of the war had begun.